You're crazy, man. You're crazy. I like you, but you're crazy.
Hansel, so hot right now.
All right.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. I'm Swanka Burnett with the Quick Critic.
I'm Jared, a QC contributor.
I'm Pepper, a QC contributor.
Karan, a QC contributor.
And welcome to episode 4 of Quality Control, where we discuss everything and anything that's hot in entertainment. Today, we're going to be discussing The Mandalorian and that episode that debuted a couple days ago, and also the bombshell news with WB and how they're going day and date streaming. So, do you guys want to tell me your initial thoughts on The Mandalorian and where things are with the last episode?
Well, I watched the first episode from season 1, probably beginning of the year, like a lot of people. And the first episode did not grab me. But all the way through, it's just built and built and built. And Friday's episode, the last episode, was amazing. It was short. I think it was like 30 minutes, but it was just so rapid fire. The action was there. It closed up so many, it just brought so much together. I just thought it was probably one of the best that they've released so far.
Yeah, I would agree with that summary. What got me for the episode was when we saw Boba Fett's spaceship flying in. As soon as you saw it, you recognized it from Empire Strike Back, and then so that was great to see him get his gear back, and then actually see him in action, because before we've always seen him, he was just kind of like a bumbling background character, especially at the end of Return of the Jedi. Which I have a question is, when we last saw him in Return of the Jedi, he was going into the mouth of some big monster. Now here he is, so hopefully they get to that backstory, but also seeing the Falcon Crest get blown up, it's like, okay, how's Mando going to be able to put this back together? As in the previous episode, we saw him flying in. Exactly, but we saw him in the last episode with duct tape and string. There's no way he's bringing that back, so that was kind of bad to see.
He was at high school level car.
Right, but the episode was full of a lot of goodies, and look forward to talking a little bit more about it here in this episode with everybody.
Yeah, I think season 2 is really bringing it. I agree with everything that's been said. Obviously, with last week's with Ahsoka coming to the fray, which is great to see, and then this week bringing back Boba Fett, I think they're doing a great job of incorporating characters we're familiar with, but not having it just be pure fan service. I think they've learned a little bit with how they're rolling things out from the sequel trilogy in 7 through 9. But I think all the Boba fanboys had to be really happy, because he finally has his moment to shine and not just get whooped by Han and tossed into a Sarlacc pit. So I am all about it. Really excited to see where these final 2 episodes take us.
Yeah, no, I think they've done a really amazing job. Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, really tying things up and bringing in the stuff from Clone Wars and the stuff from Rebels, and doing it in a way where if you haven't seen all of Clone Wars or Rebels, as I haven't, it's still, the episodes still resonate, and it's still really, it's just exciting and interesting. And Ahsoka Tano's a great character, and there's rumors that she's going to end up having her own spin-off series. And the way they established Boba Fett and really showed him as like a really badass character, and just taking out 15 stormtroopers basically on his own. It's really, really interesting and exciting what they're doing with that character. And I think the fact that now they're all kind of teamed up is going to be a really, really interesting way to go over the remainder of the season. So I'm pretty excited to see where it goes. And I wonder out loud why Kathleen Kennedy didn't hire Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau to begin with, because I feel like if the two of them had done the sequel trilogy, I feel like they could have done they could have done a better job, I think, than what Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams did. So what do you guys think about that?
It could have been a time thing, though, because he plays Happy, correct, in the Avengers. Right. So maybe he just couldn't give himself totally to the project, and he wanted to be able to do that. That's the only thing I can see really muddling him taking over the helm completely. I mean, he's doing an amazing job, and I think everybody can see that he would have done. I mean, J.J. Abrams has a special place in my heart, but at the same time, he did drop the ball on a lot. And we don't really know what kind of control he has because, I mean, if anything we've learned this year and the last year is that the studios really take a lot away from what the visionaries have in mind. They strip it. And we see it with Schneider. We're getting his cut from HBO Max. So, I mean, you never know. Maybe he was like, if I don't get complete control with the movies, then I don't want it. Let me take this smaller ship and try to fly that and prove myself. Maybe we'll get something more later. Who knows?
But let's be clear that the studios have always had pretty much carte blanche.
That's true.
On how things are done. We've heard backstories from even The Godfather, where for instance, where Coppola wanted Al Pacino and the studio did not want Al Pacino. So imagine if Al Pacino was not Michael Corleone in The Godfather. It would have been the same thing. But I think for back to your question, Smunk, I think with it having Favreau do the series, they probably wouldn't have gelled with him doing the movies because all that was going on behind the scenes probably at the same time. So there's no way he really could have done both together. But hopefully, moving forward, let's just put this out there in the universe that he is part of whatever next movies that Star Wars, that the Star Wars catalog release out in the movies and theatrical releases, because he needs to be part of that. It's clear. Because they're taking Star Wars from like the original and then from the comics and the books and the cartoon series and bringing it to the live screen in this series, and to me it's magnificent. It's marvelous.
Yeah, and we all know what happened with the sequel trilogy and how the Force Awakens was a good movie. Last Jedi was an okay movie as well, I think, but it just seemed like the two people who made those movies weren't talking to each other, and they were just trying. They're just kind of. It just didn't feel like cohesive. So to have the Mandalorian be developed in a way where it ties in really almost perfectly with all different properties, it's just really refreshing, and like we want more of that. And I think it's surprising with a property that as valuable as Star Wars that Kathleen Kennedy allowed those mistakes to happen with the sequel trilogy. But I'm just glad that I'm just glad they're getting it sorted out now. And to your point, Karan, I think they would be smart to continue hiring Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau moving forward, because they really know what they're doing and they're hitting it out of the park in my opinion.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I think Jon Favreau definitely has Disney's trust at this point, between his work as Happy in the Iron Man movies, directing Iron Man 3, directing The Lion King, doing The Mandalorian. Like Disney loves him now, and maybe he didn't have that level of trust back when they were starting and they picked people back in 2015 to do Force Awakens. Jon Favreau wasn't quite in like Disney's graces yet. So I think he's shown us a lot more in these last 5 years. And so moving forward, I expect he will be a big part of what they continue to do.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So what stood out to you guys either in this episode or in the season in general as your favorite aspects of either this episode or the whole season?
I love the father son feel of Grogu and Din. It's just built. Before it was kind of like annoying brother, but now it's like, this is my child and I will protect everything that I have. And everybody that Grogu comes in contact with gets that feeling. Everybody's so completely protective of him. And you've just seen that like the Jedi didn't have a good relationship with the Mandalorian. So for him to just put that aside, your people were my enemy and now you're my kid. It's just like, it resonates with so many people and you just want the best for him. And he's lost everything at this point. He's lost his ship. He's lost his child. He doesn't know what's going to happen next. And we feel that, we've connected with that, and we want more. This felt like a finale, really, this episode did. It could have been a finale.
Yeah, it could have been.
It could have been, yeah, with him, like a big cliffhanger with him being taken away, yeah. Very, very so. So I think also, to me, the characters that they're bringing, the cast, they're circling back and finishing up some plots, story plots from off the series and answering questions. And I think bringing Ahsoka Tano in, to me that was awesome. They picked. I know there's big controversy because there's a lot of people on the internet. Oh, they wanted the voice actor from the series to be in the show, but I think they used common sense and were like, no, Rosario Dawson looks like Ahsoka. She has the built for it. Where the voice actor, she might be a very good actor in her own right too, but she did not fit the mold of Katana, and Rosario did a great job in that episode. I'm hoping,
really
fingers crossed, that we see her again. Hopefully, if not in this series, then she gets her own series or something else down the road. But I think overall, and to me, we talked about this offline too. To me, the Mandalorian series to me gives me a feel of the old westerns that at least I grew up with. Watching Unforgiven, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, The Man with No Name, and how he's always going to these different towns in the western area and solving a problem and then moving on to the next adventure. So we get that feel in a sense here as well.
Can we also talk about how fire Ming-Na was as Fennec? And when she came back, I was so hyped. She's a Disney princess in her own right. I mean, she's been gone. Yeah. She was, I was so excited. I was so hyped.
And I think her outfit too would be a good action figure. Sorry to interrupt you, Pepper.
Yeah.
The action figure, the with the red mask and just like the way she had the kind of like a samurai outfit. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and I think the women in the show, bringing up obviously Fennec and then also Bo-Katan in a couple episodes ago when we had that kind of Mandalorian crew that I loved personally. That was an awesome moment. I thought that episode also way too short. But kind of swings into Karan's point because Katie Sackhoff, who did voice the character in Clone Wars, came back and played Bo-Katan live action in Mandalorian. So it's interesting that they went and decided to use the same person for Bo-Katan, but they said, no, we want Rosario for Ahsoka. So I'm never complaining that Rosario Dawson's in anything. So I'm totally fine with it. But I do think it's interesting that for one of them, they said, yeah, sure, keep the same person. For this other one, they said, no, we're going a different direction.
She's more sci-fi too. I mean, I think Katie Sackhoff was a perfect fit. Battlestar Galactica. I mean, she already has.
We know her.
Following, so.
And Rosario, she's been in other, comic series. Daredevil. Yeah, exactly. So she's not a stranger to everybody in this world, I guess you could say.
Gotcha. Yep. So I was nerding out the entire episode. I really like seeing Boba Fett wreck shop, just like destroying the stormtroopers. I like seeing Grogu let loose with his force powers with the stormtroopers as well. When he was really toying with them. That was really fun. And then I thought it was interesting how they really are leaning into how inept the stormtroopers are. Like at this point, I know it was a joke, but now it's like they're like almost like intentionally showing them like they can't, like they never actually are effective in any way in any battle.
No,
like they never hit anything when they shoot. Like they never actually have any positive.
They don't take cover.
Right. They're just like wide open in the field. Right. But you have to say that that battle scene on the hill and everything, where they're using the rocks, or Fennec is, and then how she rolls the rock down and it's rolling down and crushes everybody. That was a good sequence, I thought.
That was very homage to like Indiana Jones, Steven Spielberg.
Yes, yes.
I thought it was.
Hey, it's all Disney, baby.
It's all Disney.
And then, did you guys notice what was up with the Dark Troopers like walking like zombies? Like I didn't get that. Like what?
They look like
drama.
Like the Dark Troopers.
They are. I think they are robots.
They were like walking like they're like walking like The Walking Dead. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so they're trying to pick up this baby. That it works for that. What if they're fighting like a Jedi? Like that's not going to work. Like what makes them different? What makes them more effective? I don't know anything about Dark Troopers. Do you guys know about them in canon or anything?
I know they're in either the comics or in a video game, I believe. But they are robots. But I think you're right to your point, Swanker. Like when I think of the robots before, like when in the Attack of the Clones, you had General, what's his name?
General Grievous.
Yeah, him, and then the other robots that were kind of his guard. They're very mobile, and you could see them fighting the Jedi. And to your point, I don't see these Dark Troopers really fighting and being mobile and flexible like that in the coming battle scene. So we'll see.
Throwing it back to the Clone Wars, we had the basic droids, and then you had like the elite droids. If you played a Star Wars game that had the like little wrist shooters that were supposed to be like tougher, at least in the video games. That's what this reminded me of. Stormtroopers are completely useless. Dark Troopers are the elite version that are like a little harder to kill, but like still probably not that scary. But we'll see. They didn't really do anything. They just kidnapped
right.
Grogu,
Yeah.
So
I guess the last episode for me set it up like I thought they were going to be like force sensitive, like stormtroopers, and it turns out that they're basically robots, right? They're basically they're like Sentinels from the X-Men universe, but just
Sentinels, exactly.
Yeah, perfect.
I guess I had high expectations for what they might do, and maybe they're going to do something more in the last two episodes, but I certainly wasn't very impressed by what they did in this one. But I guess we'll find out.
Because you're right.
Or it's like the Knights of Ren. Knights of Ren.
Yeah, that was a big disappointment.
They didn't end up being anything. So I'm prepared.
Because they did
The
set up.
less said about the Knights of Ren, the better.
But
Yeah.
did anybody have a question or wonder what's up with Grogu? As soon as he uses the Force, he has to take a nap. Like, what is that? Like,
He's little. He's like
Yeah.
50 years old, but like
His force batteries are real small.
yeah.
He's like, all right, I gotta go to sleep now.
He just ran a mile. He just needs to take a breath. That's all.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So let's talk a little bit about this WB news which came out a couple days ago. So as everybody watching this probably knows, WB announced that basically all their movies coming out between now and the end of 2021, Mortal Kombat, Matrix 4, Wonder Woman, these movies are all going. Tom and Jerry. These movies are all going directly day and date theaters and streaming, and that represents a seismic shift in the industry, and it's a big change is like the understatement of the year.
Really?
So I want to get you guys' reaction to that, but I also want to read this comment that AMC put out after WB made the announcement. AMC said this, and I think it's really interesting. So this is AMC speaking. Clearly, Warner Media intends to sacrifice a considerable portion of the profitability of its movie studio division and that of its production partners and filmmakers to subsidize its HBO Max startup. As for AMC, we will do all in our power to ensure that Warner does not do so at our expense. That's AMC Theater CEO Adam Aron. So what is you guys' reaction to that, and what do you guys think is, what's going to go next? Are other studios going to follow suit, or are theaters going to just kind of contract into almost nothing? What do you guys think?
I think that's just, obviously AMC, that is the theater house that majority of people know about. So I think it's him just reacting to possibly his business being, taken away. But me personally, I feel this is the first step in the change of the industry where, yes, the majority of the theaters are definitely going to go away. There's still going to be a lot of theaters out there, but not as the number that we're currently seeing now. And we're going to start seeing more releases onto these platforms, because you name a network or a channel, they have a streaming service these days. I even just heard Discovery Plus is coming out streaming with all their different networks and channels and everything. And then there's also a news release this morning that Disney Plus is possibly in talks with Hulu of merging. So imagine that. So I think this is just the first step in the wave of where it's going to be streaming is going to be king, and then we're going to see releases, yes, on the streaming platforms, again, to get people to go and subscribe and get those subscriptions, and then possibly be in the movie theaters. Because what a lot of people missed in the HBO Max release was there's going to be same day in the theaters and on demand, but after a short period of time, they're taking it off the streaming, and it's going to be still be in the theaters. Yeah. So a lot of people missed that in the release, but I think this is just the start of that wave.
Yeah, it looks like everybody's going for that, as much vertical integration as they can, whether that's Disney, who owns ABC, who owned a part of Hulu already, trying to get more that linked together better. WB selling things to HBO Max. I think that was AMC's complaint, is they're saying, well, this obviously helps you when you release your movies to the service that you own. Everyone's trying to get a bigger piece of that streaming pie, which is becoming just a massive industry in general. So I do think it is like a gargantuan shift for movies. We talked about this on the last episode. We knew it was happening with Wonder Woman. But if it's going to be for every major release, Space Jam 2, it's Dune, it's Suicide Squad, it's everything in 2021, it's definitely not a good sign if you're AMC, if you're Cinemark, if you're someone that needs butts and seats to see movies. So I think we're going to be seeing this kind of interesting hybrid approach, at least for 2021, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think in the go ahead, Pepper.
Just as an AMC pass holder, I'm kind of upset about it. On both sides. AMC, I understand that the gripe, they are going to lose seats because, everybody's going to jump into HBO Max now. But at the same time, there's nothing like the experience of sitting in a theater that's filled with fans like you. Just seeing the final Avengers movie, most of my reaction was from the crowd, like the build, the screams, the yeses,
the clapping and everything.
The clapping, the hoot smallers. We're going to miss out on so much if we lose this, firsthand feeling of being amongst our people and seeing these things. And so that makes me believe that it won't be completely destroyed, but it will be hurt so much that they will have to pull back, kind of like a Starbucks. They're just everywhere. Just down the street, we have 3 huge cinemas that are right next to each other. So this will just be I think there'll be a positive where, yes, it will be more finite. We will have 1 or 2 theaters, and they will probably be just next level massage chairs, like everything that they can do to pull people in. But at the same time, yes, it's going to hurt them at the same time, and it's going to hurt the fans, and it's going to hurt the industry, at least in the next 5 years. Now, after that, if they make it through that, we'll see. Time will tell.
I think the massage chair point you made is actually very salient and actually a really good point, because ultimately the way things are going to go is I think theaters they're basically going to have to start adding in different features, different things that are going to convince people who, listen, I can watch this movie at my house when it comes out. Why am I going to go to the theater to go watch this movie? You know, there's people like myself, and I think maybe you guys as well, who will always go to the theaters, even without the additional bells and whistles. There's a lot of people that, in the absence of that, they just aren't going to go. So maybe you're going to have free popcorn. Maybe you're going to have massage chairs. Maybe you're going to have to give out souvenir cups. You know, something to get people to motivate them to leave their house and go sit in the theater. You know what I mean? And I think that's really things they're going to have to do that, and that's the resiliency of business that you have to change with the times. And in this case, it's the pandemic, but there's always something that's making businesses change. But go ahead, Karan.
I was going to say, it's going to me, just thinking right now, what you're talking about, massage chairs and all that stuff, it's going to be, I don't know if any of you guys have been to Universal Studios or anything of that nature in the last few years, but they have rides now where the chairs move and all that stuff. And some of the theaters are started having this where they spray water where the water is on the screen and all that stuff, and blowing air and all that stuff. I think they're going to start rolling that. That's a possibility, is to roll that out into more of these theaters that are still going to be open to make it more of an experience. Like when you go to Universal Studios and ride that ride and you get the spray and all that stuff. So that's going to be more integrated into the films possibly. And that could be a draw to make it more of an experience for people to go out, but also see them doing more mini film festivals, So say if the next Marvel movie comes out, they're going to do a couple of nights of re-releases of the previous films, so making it, okay, Monday is the part 1, part 2, part 3, and then the next one, to make it more of an adventure and an experience and festival type of atmosphere to bring you back out. Because I don't know if you remember back when Star Wars, Harry Potter, and all these other things came out, when you had the midnight releases, and they actually did release movies midnight.
At midnight.
If you ever went those, people came out in full
dressed up
cosplay.
Yep.
Yeah, right, and that was fun to see. I remember going to see the Matrix films like that, all 3 of them. That was that experience. So we might be going back to some of that type of thing.
Reminds me of like Spy Kids 4D, Karan, what you're just describing. Yeah. When you could go you could smell what was happening in the movie, which obviously I was a kid when that came out, and that still didn't interest me. So. I'm curious to see, is it, because if it's Spy Kids 4D, I don't think that's going to work. That was a very short-lived fad. Yeah. But I do agree with you. They need to bring something back that makes it more of an experience. So it's interesting. We'll see. I could see that going either way. And it definitely does lean in the favor of blockbuster movies and those great things. A movie like a Nightcrawler, I think, for instance, which is great. But are those going to get exposure now? If it's so hard to make money on a movie, studios are gonna take less risk. They say, let's just make more Spider-Man, because we know that'll bring back profit. Just
from a business standpoint, and I like to look at things from that standpoint. I think it'd be really interesting to see where the movie theater industry is 5 years from now. And I'd be curious to see if there's 10,000 theaters right now, again, just making up numbers. I'd be really curious to see in 2020, 2025 what that number is. Is that going to be 5,000? Is that going to be 1,000? Are there still 10,000 theaters? Who knows? But it's really interesting to think about. So keep it locked to The Quick Critic for all your entertainment review needs, and make sure you head to our website, thequickcritic.com, for your written and video reviews of new releases and retro movies. Thanks for listening. Peace.